Welcome back, everyone. Let me in this slideshow, bring the map back here. We are going to now talk about feature links and global links. So that would be linking files to the map. I think we're going to start out with feature links. That's, in my opinion, the kind of the simpler to configure type of thing. So I'm going to start out. Let's turn off some of these layers I've got locked. And we're going to lock our section corners. Going to tie some pictures here to that PDFs. So I'm going to use the index to scroll to there. So I've only got the one section corner in here at the moment. It's all the one I've taken the time to place at the moment. So you can see our section corner here. If we turn on our sections, something I don't normally have on, but you can see our lines here. We click on our different sections and see those, and then our section corner. So this is section corner 1A of 17 T7N, range 9W. So to set up a link, you can hit the little wrench. Then there is add remove links right here. So if there's no links at all, this area will be blank as it is. If there are links existing, they would be in this list here. So we're going to go ahead and add one. And whenever you click that, there are two options. There's the feature link local and the AWS feature link web. So the difference there is the local link is going to be either stored on your computer or your server, something like that, something you can access through like Windows Explorer. The web is going to store that on the basically the cloud, the Amazon store that we have set up there that stores that in the cloud for you. You do have to have internet access to be able to access those. The nice thing is it cleans up the feature management and where those files have to live on people's computers or on the network. It simplifies that for you. So I'm going to start with a local file to kind of just show the, not really the old way, but the one way you can link something to a local file that's either on your computer, on the server, someplace like that. So we're going to hit OK to that. We're going to give a descriptive name. We'll call this the card, and we're going to browse for that. And then in my Corey County folder, which I'll bring this down just so you can see. So this is in my C, ThinkJS, and then Corey County. So that's my main county folder. And inside there, I have my section corners, and then I have my corner cards. And then I have one for 17. Section 17, Track 7 North, Range 9 West, 1A. So that's where we can check our feature over here. Nice thing is whenever you click on a feature and you do another tool or something, most of the time the feature window on the left here will still show up. So that way you can kind of check and make sure you're clicking the right one. If a good chance in your area, you're going to have, hundreds or thousands in this corner cards. You have to scroll through and find it. Just for the simplicity of the webinar, I simplified it down to one. So we're just going to click that and hit open. So you'll see here that it fills in this script for us. You could actually type this in manually if you want to learn the syntax and type it in, or you can actually edit this. So let's say I had this set up for 1A, and for some reason I select the 2A PDF. You can come in here and change that to 1A. So you can actually modify this script area here. You can actually have multiple things happen. So if you hit enter here, it'll let you type another script of some sort. Normally, if you're linking a PDF, you're just going to have it do one thing. Later, whenever I show running a command on the map, we'll show where you can do the multiple lines and what that would be useful for. Now, the other thing I want to point out is you'll see this data directory. So that is set up in the layer settings, and you can point where that data directory is. This is the way I suggest people set things up. Use the data directory here. The section corners, corner cards, and that folder structure can be hopefully the same on everybody's computer, but the data directory allows you to change where that folder is on their computer. So right now, that data directory, like I showed, was in C, ThinkJS, Corey County, and then section corners, and then corner cards. So you can see that path there. The C ThinkJS Corey County is all being replaced by this data directory. I'll show you where that's set up here in 1 second. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK here. Okay, and you'll see the little card shows up, and you'll see this little exclamation point. If we had, when we do the AWS, you'll see that that is a, I believe it's a star. When I add that, we'll be able to see that. I forget what it is now off the top of my head. One thing also I want to point out, on most of these windows, there is a help button. So if we go to add or change on this one, I'm just going to hit change. There's another help here. So if you click that help, it'll pull up our help menu, and this will actually talk you through what each little button does. Oh, it's a $sign for the AWS ones. It'll pull up, and a lot of these menus are actually interactive. So if you want to know about hitting this add, change, delete in these buttons, it'll actually pull up a form to talk more about it. So I'm just going to hit add just to show you, and that'll come down here to the add section. It talks about the links, talking about all the different features. And then the other cool thing about our help menu is a lot of these pages have a notes at the bottom here, and that'll sometimes have information on the, like, a maximum amount. So a feature can have up to 40 links attached. That's something you could have, 40 things, and that can be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be a PDF. It can be a website. It could be a command to do something inside the map, or to send a command to some external piece of software if they allow that type of communication. You can link it to the actual folder where these things live, and I'm going to be showing that here in a little bit on the global links on a basically it's called a pick run, which allows you to set up the folder, and then you can run a file from inside of there. So that's kind of cool about that. So the help menu, I'll just go ahead and minimize that. So the help menu is super helpful to whenever you're doing anything in the map. Most of our forms or anything you're doing will have a help menu. And then to get to the help menu, just whenever you're on the map, you can just go to help up here. So that's nice stuff. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK here and close and OK. Let's do a file save and a redraw. So now whenever we click on this corner, you'll see it has a little card there, or if I double click it, little card. So that's that text that I typed in to change that. You can change that to whatever you want it is. There is a limit on how long that is. So sometimes you have to get creative if it's a really long name, but that's where that text shows up. And that's going to always be at the top here for the feature links that you add this way. In the third section, we're going to talk about modifying this form, and you can actually put these links other places in the field, in the feature form to make it so then you can maybe have the description of what the link is, and then the link can be there. All kinds of neat things you can do in the feature form to make it look cool. But if we click on the card, you'll see it pulls up. Let me pull this over here so it's on the screen. You can see, section corner card 1A. There's a little star and the 2 roads just to kind of show. And then, like this one has latitude, longitude. Your different cards may have different information, but that's how you can link that file. So let me show you on the data directory how that's set up, because that's kind of critical to make these work. So if we look on the section corners, under the data directory is a column here. Right now it's set to default. So if I need to change that to a network location, that's where you could set that here. But if you click where it says default right now, it'll show you here at the bottom where it's going. And this is the default location. So it's C, ThinkJS, and Corey County. So that is my map files folder. It's the way I like to describe it. But let's say we wanted to change that. So it just goes to the C, ThinkJS, and then I'm going to call it like section. So that's the folder I'm going to have. So I'll hit apply. And then let's pull this up. And it's over here on the screen. So maybe pull it back in here. So inside the ThinkJS, I'm going to make a folder called section corner codes. And that directory is now pointed. And then I'm going to go up to Corey County. And I'm going to grab this. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and grab just the file. So this is basically your management of where your files are. So I'm going to paste it here. So this is now where these files are going to live. Now we can go in and modify the feature to make this more generic so that all they would have to have is the section corner cards folder in their ThinkGIS folder, and then the links would work since we have the data directory. The nice thing is let's say this section corner folder isn't in their ThinkGIS folder. Let's say it's on their desktop. You could change this path to be their desktop / section corner cards, or maybe it's on a flash drive or an extra memory cards pushed in their computer because their hard drive's not very big, and maybe that's on the E drive. Let's say you could change the data directory to be E : section corner cards. So this is where you can set the files into a more generic folder of just one folder, and you can basically have the files run as from a generic any location, and then the user can set that. So I was losing train of thought there. The data directory is something that each user can set individually. So whenever we reinstall the map, we can say, hey, we're going to check and make sure these section corner links work. We click on one, it doesn't work. We go track down where those files are, and we can change that where it is. So I'm actually going to change this to be just ThinkGIS, I think, actually. So that's where the home folder where it's going to live is the ThinkGIS folder. And if we go back to our feature, we're going to modify our link to just say data directory, section corner cards, and then the name of the file /. So this is going to be the data directory, which is the C ThinkGIS, and then the section corner cards is our folder. I'm going to pull that back up here so we can see that folder. So section corner cards, and then our file is actually there. So this is a way to make it more generic, to make it so that whenever a user has these files somewhere else, possibly a network, possibly a flash drive, could just be a different folder in their computer. Maybe they want the section corner cards, the folder to be inside of just like attachments inside their ThinkGIS folder. You can make that whatever you need it to be. So hit OK, close, and OK. I'll do a redraw, and we'll see if I set it up right. I'm going to click the card over here because you can click it on the feature. Like if we open this up, you can click here, or you can click it over here on the left. Oh no, I made a mistake. Section corner cards. Did I misspell something? This is the kind of stuff I really enjoy digging into this. Section corners. Oh, so that's why whenever I modify that existing one. Oh, not that one. I always do that too. I always hit this modify form layout instead of add remove links. And I'm going to hit change, and we got an extra S here. And OK, and close, and OK. Do a redraw here. Now, if we click the card, it'll pull it up. So that's where the data directory allows us to move that file anywhere we want. What's really cool is there's actually already a variable for the ThinkGIS. So let's say that 90% of your people are going to have it in the ThinkGIS folder. You can actually use a %TMDIR%. So you could set this in the layer for them, so that way it's set up to be in the ThinkGIS directory. But let's say someone ends up moving somewhere else, then they can change this to something else to point to that network or that flash drive. But that'll make sure it's always in the ThinkGIS directory. So let's hit close. Let's do a file save and a redraw. Now, if we put that, you can see it pulls it back up. So that's where these additional path choices here this setting, this data directory setting, can allow you to, the editor can maybe be working off the ThinkGIS folder, and the actual users can be working off of a network drive, and that's where we can change that. You can also use a map directory. So it would be pound map dir, not pound, sorry, percent map dir percent. So that will actually move that to the map directory. So if we wanted to move that into the right spot, we would drag this into Quarry County. And now it's going to look in the map directory, which if we click off and click back, you'll see it'll fill in this area. It'll tell us the C Think.js Quarry County. That's the same as the default. That may or may not be what people need. So that's where you can force it to do the map directory. So wherever their files get synced to, you can force it into the map directory. If for some reason they're set up with a complex, looking at the network for some files, looking at their local for some files, sometimes that setting may be necessary. And then the last one to use, the third path variable that's pretty common is that data directory one that we saw here. So I'm going to do this, go back to here. So you can see that one here is that percent data dir percent. So you can use these in other places around the map whenever you're needing to reference a location in something. Most of the time it's in these linking things, but it can also be used in scripts. It can also be used in some of the custom buttons and things. Could be using some of these directions, this directory rerouting to set up where that file or set up where that script is running from. So that's how we're doing that. The other way you can do this is you can do what's called pick run, and that will basically look at a folder and then show you a list of, let's say, PDFs or PNGs or different things. So let's say instead of this card we want to reference, let's say we want to clear this out, and I'm going to call this the index. So pick run, and then you can browse for this and then change it to pick run. Or what I like to use is your file explorer. And then we're going to go back into Quarry County. We're going to go into our section corners. And then you'll see here we have our different tracks. So this is track 7 north. And then this is range 9 west. And then the index file is this file right here. But then all these other files have to do with the, I'm sorry, I was going to set it up so it pointed to this index first. So this is the index file. So we're going to do a run. Actually, we can do a browse. Getting ahead of myself here. So section corners, track 7 north, range 9 west, and then the C one was our index. So we're going to hit open. So we're going to set up one link for that. Then I'm going to add a new link, and this is where I'm going to do that pick run. And this will just be like, I'm going to just do call it PDFs. And maybe it's pages. Maybe that would be better. That's what the index is showing is what page. So browse. I'm going to go ahead and just choose one to have the thing to show you how you can change this to a pick run. Space. So it's going to look at all those files. And then instead of the file name for a pick run, we are going to change that to a star.pdf. And what that'll do is it will look at that folder, and then it'll look for all the PDFs, and it'll show us a pop-up to allow us to choose which page we want to open. So we're going to hit OK. Close. OK. Let's do a file save and redraw. So now I'm going to go ahead and double click this, open this up. So if we click our index, we will get our plot layout of all of the sections here. This is section 17. So it's right here. Let me zoom in a bit. So here's 17, and looks like page 79 has to do with this corner up here. So we're going to go grab page 79. So now we can close or minimize this. We go to our pages, and then if we scroll down, it's the last number here. Like so, there's page 79. And okay. And then there's the extra information about that. You could use this for all sorts of things. You could have it for like school plans. You could have it for your hazmat listings for different things. And that's where you could have a link that maybe lists all the things. And then you could have a page for, you could have a folder that pops up all the different PDFs. It does only show PDFs. So if there was a PNG or a JPEG, it will ignore those files. So that way you can kind of have this list a little more, parsed down to just show you the information you're interested in. So that is our featured links for that. Let me zoom over back to let me do a file save quick. Let's go back to our view over here. So the other thing you can do with featured links is a command in the map. So if we pull up our daycare here, we're going to add a link. Oh, gotta lock it for editing first. So let's go ahead and unlock that, relock that. So if we go to our daycare, we're going to add a link. And what we're going to do here is we're going to turn on the floor plan for this daycare. And this is something I just drew up real fast. It's not super high quality or anything, but it will show you an example here. So we're going to do another local link. Your scripts, your websites, and your local files are all going to be local. The web is just going to be files, just so you know. But your local file, and we're going to call this floor plan. Oh. And then, so on the run script, if you wanted to type this out, you can go look it up, but you can hit this odd command and it'll help you do this. And then it gives us just some default different things. You can have it so it, the index, so from here, you can have it pop up the index to browse that particular layer. You could do a redraw or a refresh of the screen. That's something we are going to use after we've set our command. We can also do this turn on a layer. So that's what we're going to use. I'll go over the other ones. You can change the settings. So you can actually have it so that on here, you could have it so then this daycare changes color, changes the opacity. I don't know. Yeah, I think you can change opacity. You can have it change so then the line gets thicker or thinner. You can do a lot of these different things if you want to be able to change a setting to a layer right from the layer. Mostly, I use this for turning a layer on and off for these floor plan type things. You can also do a search form, so you can search a particular layer. So you can have it so then from in here, you can hit search and then you can search a layer. You can search a particular layer. You can search the same layer. So you could say from this floor plan, I also want to be able to search the churches layer or want to search the garden layer. You could have a link to be able to pop that up. You could do your search and then you can see that data. And then the zoom to, you can actually use this to zoom to a particular point on the map. Something that's helpful for, I saw a public safety place, they used it to, they could do a index search, or if it popped up on the left side here, they could then say zoom to, and it would actually zoom to that school or zoom to that area from just having that feature form up. And that kind of allowed them to be able to just zoom the map automatically to that feature from the index or something else when they're looking at the feature form. Because once you have the form up, you'd have to go back to the index to do a locate. So that allowed them to be able to zoom right to it. So that was just something they've used. We're going to use our turn on and off. So we're going to hit OK. We're going to choose our daycare floor plans. And then your visibility, this is like the setting where you can have on, off, or auto, and then it gives you some default auto options. So I'm just going to choose on and OK. And then below this, we're going to need another command, and this is that redraw, which we can go in here and hit add command, redraw, and OK, and it'll put it in for us, but I just typed it in. So, but that's what we're going to need a redraw after. The reason you have to have that, you turn a layer on, and then after the layer's on, if the map doesn't do a redraw, you can't see it until you either pan or do a redraw on the map. So we're going to hit OK. And I'm going to go ahead and do another one. This is going to be floor plan off. So we're going to do the same thing, add command, turn layers on and off. Going to choose our daycare floor plans. We're going to choose off. And then we're going to have to add that redraw below. So we're going to say add command. I'll do it from here, redraw, and OK. And OK. And then close and OK. So let's hit a file save, do a redraw. So now whenever we click on our daycare, which we can actually have this pop up on the left side when we do a search, but for right now, I'm just going to show it from here. So the person's clicked on this, they can hit floor plan on, and you can see the floor plan draws in. I can zoom in on that just to make it a little bigger. You can see where they have the bathroom, the playroom, music room, lobby, break room, and office all marked. And then if you want to turn that back off, you can just hit off. That goes away. So these same links will pop up in an auto area search. So if we do a 504 North Jason Street, you'll see the auto area search pops up. Here's the daycare layer. Here's our 2 links, and then it tells you what the feature is also. So you can tell what feature you're going to be turning them off. So you can just turn them on and turn them off from there. So that's something cool you can do with some commands. There's some other commands like the zoom to I talked about that you can have it so it zooms to that feature. And the zoom to, basically you can set what level it zooms the actual feature to, and that kind of helps you be able to, like, if you want to zoom really close or zoom really far out, you can actually set that up in there. And then one of the other things you can link is a website. So let's say you want to have the website for this daycare. So we're going to do an add remove and add again. We're going to do a local. And then we are going to do a website up here. And then I'm just going to put in our website. But you can put in the web address there. I believe you don't need the run. So we're going to hit OK. Close. OK. Let's just do a redraw to show you. You don't actually have to save between each one. But if we hit website, oh, yep, I think you do have to have run. Something I should have tested the other day. So most of these scripts are going to require a run in front of them to be able to do something externally. And then pulls up our website. So you could have it do that for the website for the daycare. You could have it pull up the Facebook page, wherever you have a web address for, you could link that. You can also, like if you had something like you want to do on your addresses or on your voter registration areas, you could have it so then it could pull up the state website or the federal website for the representatives. So if someone comes in, asks about that, you can say, yep, let me click this and pull that up, and you can show them and say, yep, your state representative's this, your federal representative's that. You can have those kind of linking things. The other thing cool with websites is you can actually have it use part of the feature information to put that into the website. So if you're accessing, let's say your billing information for your taxes, let you have the parcel number in the web address, you can have that for the link to pull up your tax billing website and then have the parcel number plugged in and it'll pull it out. I don't have an example of that. I was trying to find a good example, but I know there's sites that let us do that. So that is something that we can do by using the actual feature. I'm going to show that more in the global links on how that works, but that is something you can do. Let me go ahead and scroll through this. Looks like Leslie has a question. Go ahead, Leslie.
We have a couple, actually. So when you selected the daycare, in the side search bar, the feature name was yellow. Where do you go to make that change?
That is set up in the auto area search. That's in the map settings here. That's something I feel like would be something better if you call in, have that question, have us call in, have us set that up. That's kind of a big can of worms to open up and try to select, but it is set up here in this auto area search. So next question.
So you mentioned in talking about the daycare, having that floor plan. What is the best practice for overlaying the CRG maps, or is that a little too detailed for what we're doing today?
That's probably outside of what we're talking about today. The CRG stuff, that's something we can always talk to customers if they want to let us know they're interested in that. We can talk to them. Problem with CRGs, I don't know if that's in every area, so that would be another question: is do they cover the area, cover the customer specifically?
So reach out if you still do that particular user, if you still do have questions on that, reach out to our team and we'll review that with you. Um, let's see. When making the changes to the data directory and adding these links, are these changes exclusive to the local machine, or is this something that would be backed up on sync?
So the data directory column is saved in your TGM that's on your computer. The feature link where it's set up in here, that is saved in the actual layer. So if we had something here with a data directory, that's saved in the layer, and that is moved through sync. Anything set in this column is actually saved in your map on your specific map. So each map would be individual. So if you'll say you have five people in an office, one person's the editor, 4 viewers, the person creates this layer, they would have to go around to the other 4 and make sure this is set up. And that's kind of a one time. Normally you get it set up once and then it's set up for the rest of the time. So
And the attachments themselves would depend on the setup of how the
it depends on where
computer
they're
is.
sharing. And that's where I was going to we're going to talk about the AWS next, to talk about convert an existing one to an AWS, which we can show now. So let's zip back over to our section over here. So looks like I need to lock my layer again. Hit it. So the AWS links has a really nice feature in the fact that I'm just going to put this index on there, is you can basically store this in the cloud, and then you don't have to worry about moving this folder, copying it to multiple computers, or copying it to a network location that everybody can share. That's kind of the downside of the feature links, is they have to have access to the data. So you can either put it on sync, which isn't like the best plan because it can just take a long time for everything to sync down. Normally, it's easier to have it on a network location that everybody can access, especially if you're doing a big project like Section Corners, where you're scanning new documents pretty often. It's a lot easier just to have those on a network location. Everybody points there and can pull them up. The nice thing about the AWS is you can upload those to the web, and then you use the web to download them. And they don't have to worry about that step of where do I put them on the network? Do I carry a flash drive around and copy files to each person weekly, monthly, however often the data updates? That's the nice thing, is this just updates automatically. So one cool thing you can do with AWS is if you have an existing link, you can convert it to an AWS link with just a click of a button. So when we click that button, you're going to get a warning. This is the same warning you're going to get anytime you start to upload something to AWS. It's basically warning you that anything that's uploaded up here, anyone that has WTH software that can access this layer will have access to this data. So it's basically just a warning to say, if you put it up on an AWS and another user in the county or another, maybe neighboring county or another department, if they have access to the layer, they're going to have access to this data. So you don't want to put public information, anything that you can't make public, any private information, you might not want to put on AWS this way unless you have it locked down to make sure that people don't have access to the layer to be able to have access to the data. So we're going to hit OK to proceed. It'll take a second. It'll upload that for us. Then you'll see this little $sign. I'll move it them down to the pages, but you can see the little $sign. That tells you that we have an AWS link there. And then the little exclamation point tells us it's a local link. So let's hit close and OK. And whenever we click on our little guy here, let's go ahead and just open them up. And we hit the index. This is actually going to go out to the internet and download that and open it up. Just for people's knowledge, if you're curious where these are going, they're going to go into your ThinkGIS folder. And then there's a downloads folder. And then there's that GUID that I showed for the layer. So that's the layer GUID. Basically, these are stored on AWS in a folder with the GUID for the layer. So that's how they're organized on the back end. And that's where that, open that up, and then there's that file. So it'll download these files as you need them, and this is where it's going to store them. If for some reason you need to be able to access it, if you're offline, you opened it before, you could probably go in here and dig for it. But just also to point out that you do need access to be able to write to this folder. That's something we run into once in a while with permissions, is not being able to write to the folder. So that's something whenever we set up your ThinkJS install, or IT does, we try to make sure you have permissions to write to these folders, but that could be a gotcha that we have to watch out for. But to set up a new one, so you can just go add, remove links, and hit add. Then we're just going to choose the AWS web and OK. And then basically you can just give it a name. I'm just going to call it temp. We're going to browse for our file, and we will do that page 79. You'll see that the map automatically opened up the folder I was in last. It doesn't always open to the folder you were in last if you closed the map and reopened it. That's just something that it's like Windows has a way of choosing what folder is going to open. So always make sure you are opening the right folder before you upload something, just so you are uploading what you want. But we're going to go to page 79 and open. It's the same warning telling us, hey, this is going to be uploaded. Anyone has access to it. And OK. It's going to fill all that in for us. And then we're going to hit OK. And close. OK. Let's do a save and refresh. And if we open it up, there's our temp. There's our page. And then again, it is in our C. My File Explorer is being slow today. But it's going to be in that downloads folder, basically. One thing cool you can do also with feature links and basically links in general is let's look at the pages one. That is the local one, just to look at this pick run. You can actually do a automatically execute when the form is opened. So if we do that, and OK, and close, and OK. Whenever I double click this form, it's going to automatically pop up the pick run instead of popping up the form. So that can be handy if you are wanting to be able to do a step and you're trying to just make it so that you have less amount of clicks. If maybe you don't ever need to pull up the form and you want to be able to just run this command, you could also have it so then it did something like, if we go over here to our ABC Daycare, and we add remove links, turn this on, we can have this automatically execute when we open, to automatically turn on the floor plan when we open the form. So let's do a save fresh. Double click that. This is going to be one of those windows because of the parcel and the daycare are using the exact same area. Let's choose the daycare. We hit OK. You'll see that it put the floor plan on and then it popped up the form. So you can make it so that it automatically closes the form. That's the other checkbox there. So you can have it close the feature when executed. So we can actually have that so then it won't pop up the form and it will turn I'm going to turn those back off, do a refresh. So we can double click, hit OK. It'll execute and then it'll turn on those and then it won't pop up the form. If you need to access the form to do some modifications to something, you can go back to your daycare. You can do that, hit view record. And that way you can actually view the form, make a modification to that link. So we can turn that back off so it doesn't close the form automatically. Okay, close. Okay. Let's do a redraw. And we'll open up the daycare. And so see the form still pops up, but it automatically turned on, but the layer was already on there. So that's kind of the two types of linking. Do we have any questions?
Yes.
This is the feature link. This is the feature link part.
For the sake of understanding the setup, we do have a user wondering, was that particular floor plan for the daycare something that was saved locally that you're accessing locally?
No. So that is actually a layer. So that's where this floor plan is actually a layer. So if we turn that off there, that's what that's doing, is turning a layer on and off.
So in this situation, again, if we're getting more in depth with floor plans, that would be something to reach out to a WTHT member on.
Yeah, if you have a question on doing floor plans like this, yeah, definitely reach out. We can help you do these neat things with links and turn things on and off. And yeah, floor plans, you can have PDFs that you could link. You know, you could do that same thing. I just drew this in to kind of show another way to do a floor plan so you can actually see it on the map. And then, like Leslie alluded to, the CRG, it's kind of the same idea, but it's like a graphic that shows up on the map. So, and that's something we can always give you guys a demo of sometime if you guys like to see that.
Otherwise, we have the mics open if people would like to unmute, ask questions, or of course, ask them in the side panel Q&A. We did have another question, but I am getting the answer for that at the moment. So.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting on any questions, I will go over a little bit on global links. It's a lot of the same type of things. So on the actual sections, if you look at the columns here, there's this global link column. And you can only have 4 global links. So that's something, the feature links allows you to have a lot more total links. But the global links are nice is because they can actually maybe point to something that's inside of the layer. So let me actually zoom back over to our section corners. Okay. So I want to look at this section. So I'm going to pop it over on the left. I'm going to pull up my layer settings and my link. And let's say I want to do the pages. Page. I'm just going to call it page just for simplicity. And I'm going to do a browse to get me to the page 79 again. But what I'm going to do, oh, I'm sorry, I was going to do a pick run here actually. Actually, I can browse to one to start my path for me. So pick run. So I'm going to use my data directory, section corners, and then what I want to do is replace our track and different things, and then I'm going to do a star PDF again. So what this is going to do, we're going to use our field value. So this R9W, we're going to replace with a little caret there, and then that is range, and then track will be here. I have it as township, but I think that should actually be track. Do what's in my field. So as you can see in our actual feature, we're going to use the T7 North we replaced with the township, which is the feature name. And then the range, that's what we replaced the R9W with. So basically this will use the data in the layer to choose which folder to show us a list of PDFs from. So we can call these pages and OK. And close. And do a file save and redraw. So now if we click on this section here or this section here, so these are 2 different sections that are right next to each other, so they're going to be the same track. But if we hit pages, it'll pull up that same PDF. So then if we zoom to another part of the map, so this is going to be that R8W. If we hit pages, it'll pull up a different list. So this is actually the R8W list instead of the R7 list. R9, sorry, R9. So that's that list. So that'll allow you to be able to, from the global links, you don't have to set up the exact path to each one individually. You can do like global link using the fields to be able to search where that is on the map. You could probably use that with section corners, depending on how your section corners are, how your fields are laid out. The section lines was the easy one to be able to set up and show that. but it's nice that you can do that. And then, so like this one, we know that C is the index. We could pop that up. We can say, oh, we need page 79. So we click on that one again, scroll down to 79. And there that is. And these are locally stored on your computer. So it has the same problems as feature links. It has the same setting for the data directory. So you can use that data directory. You'll see whenever we set up our link, it used the data directory right there. So that's where you'll want to definitely use data directory and not a hard path to a network location. You'll definitely want to replace that with data directory and then set that data directory up for each map as you need it. Any questions? Any comments? Don't need to be afraid.
None here.
So the other thing you can do with global links is websites, and that's where you could use a have a field on the actual links, and that's something you could do is, let's go back to our garden. And let's add a website field. And one thing on the text is this field length. We're going to talk about this more in the best practices, but you'll definitely want to expand that sometimes. 20 characters may not be long enough to fit whatever you need. So what we can do now is let's pull up the Green Thumbs, and their website is greenthumbs.com. And then the Garden Guild can be something like that. So you can use a global link on those. To actually use, so run and then website. And that will actually use the website in the feature to fill that in. Let's do a redraw. I'm going to change one of these to something like wthjs.com, shipping that for something that I know I can click on. I don't know what Green Thumb will bring up. I would be afraid to do that live. But you can see the website's listed here, and you'll see that the website will actually let you click it there. And what you could have is the link there could be to the website using this with additional text added, or it could be vice versa. This could be the main website. Then you could have additional text here that all gets added together into the website link. But we can click the link, pulls up our website, or if you click here, it'll also pull up the website. The map's smart enough to see that that's a link and pull that out. That's something that I've seen a lot of places use to link to our WebGIS. You can have it so then it links right to there. We can help you set that up if you guys want that. Link to the property record cards is normally something that's pretty easy to set up. So that way you can click on a parcel, have a PRC link, click on that, and it'll take you to our website to show you that. So, any questions, Leslie?
No, I think we're good. If we want to break away for the 10-minute break.
I think we can break here pretty easily, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. See you in 10.